morning as it is here in Japan, and welcome to the biggest climbing competition in history. Charlie Bosco and Mike Langley here, and we are live in Hachioji on the outskirts of the world's largest city, Tokyo, for the 2019 IFSC World Championships, and we are going to crown our 2 Boulder World Champions today. The women's boulder semi-final is the first action of the day, and there are 4 boulders for the women to attempt, and we are looking to take our top 6 ranked climbers through to the final this evening. The World Championships takes place every 2 years normally, but the IFSC have switched them from even years to odd so as to avoid a clash with the Olympics, meaning that we're only 11 months on from the last World Championships, which were in Innsbruck last year, and our winners from there have the chance to retain their titles less than a year on. And Mike, we're here in Hachioji. This is a festival of climbing, and until the Olympics next year, the biggest prize in climbing. Yeah, we have our World Cup tour, as we've had all season, but the World Championships is something extra, is something special. Every World Championships, it always seems to deliver a special moment, and we've seen that with, looking back, Petra Klinger 2016, last year with Janja. This year is a new opportunity. Can somebody take it? Can Janja take the whole sweep of the season? I just absolutely love being at these World Championships, these big arenas, big occasions. Yeah, can't wait for this one. Here is the semi-final. We mentioned Janja Garnbret briefly there. Will be 2 Slovenians out first, Urška Pusic followed by Mia Krampel. Mike also mentioned Petra Klingler. She will be climbing a bit later on. It's a very strong women's semi-final. We had 1 or 2 casualties from the qualifying round. Ashima Shiriashi missing out. Oceana McKenzie, who's already made a final this year, down in 31st. Vita Lucan, unlucky 21st for her. Ditto Afra Hunig. But generally, most of our big hitters, the main contenders, have all made it through, and it is a very strong semi-final. There we can see the top 10 as they qualified. As ever, the climbers coming in reverse order from the qualifying round. Janja Garnbret in a very familiar position for her of coming out last, having qualified first in yesterday's qualifiers. I have to say, Charlie, looking at that start list, one of the interesting names there coming off straight off the back of the lead season. It's just been a couple of weeks since that those last events in the lead. Brianson just a couple of weeks ago. Chae-Yoon Seo there from Korea. First major really bouldering event for her. And the big question was, she's amazing in lead. What has she got in the bouldering? What has she got for the combined later on this week? Turns out she got quite a lot in bouldering. Absolutely bossed the qualification round. So a lot of people in the arena very excited to see her coming out a bit later on. There you can see these are live pictures from our arena. Huge big screen above the wall. The arena will look very familiar to you if you've watched our last 2 World Cups from Hachioji in 2018 and 2017. It's the same arena, but this year they've had to squeeze in, of course, a speed wall and a lead wall, so the bouldering wall is actually slightly narrower than it used to be. It is still high by the standards of bouldering walls, and remember, a move can't be designed in a way on a bouldering wall that the climber's feet end up more than 3 meters above the ground, so most of the boulders finishing well short of the top or ending with a reach to the top, so the climbers don't end up too far off the ground. But we are underway. Urška Pusic is first out. She's on the right-hand side of the wall. The green and black holds. I say this is the classic bouldering qualification tour here in the semi-finals. 4 angles, most of them steep. Technical, we've got technical, dynamic, timing, powerful, a bit of everything. And this first boulder out on this far right-hand side is a bit of a run across these volumes. First panel that you see right at the bottom of the wall there is slabby with the 2 green volumes. Obviously those volumes screwed on does bring the angle right out for this dynamic push across to the sort of half hexagon on the right hand side, just out of shot there at the moment. Nice little timing move into a pair of Gastons. Jumping to the shoulders there, you can see there's nothing on that left hand side on the top where her fingers are. It's just the little jib on the underside, which potentially gets used a bit later on. Very interesting coordination move to start. Then they'll be moving down on the left-hand side into a traditional bit of slab climbing with a couple of absolutely awful holes and a really, really bad foot into the middle of the wall. We'll see super powerful and a really long boulder on these big kind of kayak-looking big boxes and volumes, and then some really powerful swinging around on some fiberglass to finish the tour. Like I said, it's the absolute classic qualification round. All the styles. Who will be the best climber at the end of this round is going to be really interesting. Urška lining it up again and just struggling with that jump. Yeah, she's opting for the step through with the left foot off the first box. I think that's the method we're going to see from a number of climbers, but this sort of push across that we see time and time again in the route setting game, really it's about getting the distance across with enough force to control the really bad handholds. There's a hold on the right hand side, you can see just there, it's actually half decent edge. There's nothing for the left hand. So we might see some spectacular stuff there with some of these female athletes just trying to control that right hand good hold, potentially ripping the left off.
You can see there in the background 2:45 left, the climbers on a 5-minute rotation. If you've only just started watching the IFSC this year and just been watching the World Cups, the format is the same. The climbers have 5 minutes in each semi-final boulder, and if they get it done early, they just get some extra rest. The next climbers won't come out early.
Just interesting watching Erska's first few attempts here. The way that she has to cross her left foot through to that black volume really opens up the body, it twists it quite a lot, so when she hits those shoulders she needs to square off again. So she's actually rotating quite heavily to get the distance, but then having to straighten up to actually secure the holds. Let's have another look. As she twists through, the left shoulder twists towards the wall and the right shoulder pivots away. You see she's just miming the position that she needs there. She needs to square up as she goes into that right hand shoulder.
Mike, you were chatting with Manu Hassler, who's our chief route setter for the bouldering here in Hachioji. When we were looking at this boulder, it looked to me like you might want to match over on the right hand side. You asked Manu about that, or any thoughts on that?
Yeah, he was kind of suggesting, as we've seen with Erska trying time and time again here, is just the 1-2, the left hand on the left hand side of the volume, the right hand on the only hold, the actual additional hold in that sequence is the good blue hold on the right hand side there. She looks like she might have taken a big cut on the wrist there a little bit, or a graze, or to keep an eye on that. That was just for, as we're seeing it live, so we'll keep an eye on that. It might not be a cut at all, but we'll see.
Yeah, I see, just on the right foot, the inside of the right forearm.
Yeah, she has got one on the shin as well, so that might be an old injury. She might have taken a few tumbles early on in the qualification. Yeah, but we're expecting to see quite a lot of action on that right-hand hold. As you say, I think as climbers come off, they might be going for the desperation match on the right-hand side there. It's a pretty good hold, but it's small.
So you haven't got room to put both hands on it, but I was wondering if you can perhaps slap the left on top of the right.
Yeah, that's why I call it the desperation match, because it's not too often you want to stack one hand on top of the other. It's never that pleasant.
Here goes Erska again. Yeah, she's sadly not really made much progress with it. Every attempt's looked relatively similar.
Yeah, it's that sort of move. It's one of those ones where you feel like you're getting closer and closer, but even though you might be quite close, you're still a relatively long way from actually sticking the move itself, even though you've got both hands in the right kind of area on the wall. Yeah, I think just looking at that wrist, I don't think that's anything fresh, because I can't really see how she would have done that on this boulder, so I think that's from a bit later on, earlier on, excuse me. 10 seconds left, that's not going to happen really for Erska, I don't think. She's going to have another go anyway.
Shame for the zone, perhaps. I mean, if she can at least get that move, which she can't, then the zone would have been relatively easy to get hold of. But as it is, she has to leave. Her 5 minutes is up. And, she leaves without securing either a zone or a top. Mia Krampel is out next, a bronze medalist in the Munich World Cup earlier on this year. Pretty unforgettable performance from her, where she could barely walk to the boulders, having injured her knee very early on, and then somehow managed to secure a bronze medal. One of the moments of the season so far. Mike talked earlier about big moments. World Championships always seem to produce them. We just don't know when they're coming. And Mia Krampel gets her semi-final campaign underway. 5 minutes begins again, and I thought she was considering a more static method. I don't think there's any way round doing this move quickly.
No, there's a little foothold on the wall there that, when we were standing on that, it almost looks like it's got chalk on it, so I think she was just going to have a quick check to make sure that it's not actually a hold, which it definitely isn't.
Remember, there is no observation in the semi-final. The climbers haven't seen these boulders until they walk out onto the mats. It's not like the final where they're going to look at them first. That's the hold Mike's talking about, directly above the start hold. It's distracting, really. You do, when you first look at the boulder, you wonder if there might be a way of doing it using that, and you can see Mia's looked at it a couple of times now.
Yeah, she's not looking happy in this jump position. I mean, with these sort of coordination, timing moves, things that require a lot of power and a lot of things going on at once, it does sometimes just take multiple goes just to kind of get the feel for it, get the feel of what's going on with the legs especially. The moment there you can see her stepping through with the left foot and then just basically just trying to reach anything in those set of holds. She was just going all the way through with her left hand. That very unlikely to work. So she's just got to produce a bit more power out of the shoulders, through the arms, and spring in the legs a bit more.
3 minutes left now. very early days, of course, in the semi-final. I don't think the route setters will be getting too nervous just yet that they've overcooked this one. Uska didn't really make any meaningful progress on it, and Mia, I mentioned about her knee, doesn't look overly happy, really loading it as she heads out to the right.
Yeah, that initial big step through with the left foot, if you're not carrying enough power and pushing off that start hold well enough, the left foot almost wants to push you back off the wall, back the way you came. So you've got to step through to get the sequence right. At the same time, making sure you hit it with enough power to carry on through. Fair distance, so you can see there all the way through to the right-hand side, big box. She's still trying to cross through with that left hand. Interesting method at the moment. Going left hand through to the right hand furthest hold.
Takes matters into her own hands on the brushing. And interestingly enough, really, I don't know if that came across on the screen, we've got a great view in real time of the wall. She was actually scrubbing the left hand hold there rather than the right hand hold, so perhaps has a new method in mind. You can see behind me, Crampel there, the lead wall. Remember, we've got the lead World Championships coming up. Qualifiers start tomorrow, and then we've got the Speed World Championships, then we've got the combined World Championships, and it will all take place in this arena. And just to the right of the bouldering wall is the lead. Mia once again having a go, going out with the right hand. Not really, doesn't seem to have a plan with the left. My assumption would be if the right hand landed, she'd put the left on top of it, or we shall see.
Yeah, at the moment she's just really struggling to get the distance, so I think she's just sort of flapping her hand towards it and just kind of getting a bit of a gauge for what's there for the hands. You see that actually time and time again where she starts to lose the focus on the feet a little bit to concentrate on the hands, and then just a little slip on the feet. Obviously big volumes down there for the feet, but when you're trying to cross the feet through at that speed, it's very easy to make a mistake.
So no top, no zone for either of the first two climbers out, the two Slovenians. And Sophie Koller will be out next, and Uska Rapusic will simultaneously be attempting Boulder 2, which is immediately to the left of this one, and pretty much the only slabby section of wall here. Mia again really burning through the attempts. It's a good hold you're going from. Yeah, she's actually looking further from this move than Uska was. She's not really come close to landing it, and looks to be trying a slightly different method.
I think this move has been around for a few seasons now. You know, this level of coordination and power, especially in the women's category, but you know, there's still climbers who really don't get along with it. And it's a bit of a love-hate relationship with these kind of more parkour moves.
Sadly for Mia, she's not getting high enough, is she? So the holds are then a long way away.
Yeah, she was never getting.
She's a long way below them.
Never getting the distance, the power through the legs, unfortunately, to get to anywhere close to engaging with those holds on the sort of half hexagon there.
This is a replay of Mia. 5 minutes has just begun again, and Sophie Koller, as I mentioned, is out. Uska Rapusic is back out. Yeah, you can see. I'm not sure she even got a fingertip to that one.
Yeah, even
so
her right foot wasn't actually hitting that well on that far box as well. She was actually nearly overshooting it. So much going on.
Yeah, so much to think about. You need to engage all that power and the coordination simultaneously. Here goes Anne-Sophie.
First look at women's number 2 then. Uska on this real traditional bit of slab climbing. Slightly steep at the bottom of the wall, just this sort of interesting drop knee to get the right hand and eventually the left hand through to that volume where she's on. And then on this red side pole on the left hand side is a really small screw-on, just screwed into right at the back of that hole that she currently has with her fingers, and pushing into just an undercut, nothing on the top, so a thundercut.
Well, she's at least secured a zone now. Didn't come away from the first boulder with anything, but this is a really tricky move, and then we're not entirely sure how you go for the top. I think it might be a relatively slow movement, almost creaking up to the top, or perhaps a jump might.
Yeah, you go slow, I'll go fast. Yeah, we'll see.
Well, the foothold you're going from the top is so terrible. Going fast would be risky, but then can you actually creep up? We'll see. But Uska Rapusic, first climber who gets on the scoreboard, secures a zone on Boulder 2. Got just over 3 minutes left, and Sophie Koller We saw her have an attempt there. She's had a couple more. As I say, from our commentary position, we could see right down the wall. Looked like progress was made. Was certainly getting a bit closer than Mia. But when we've had a few more climbers, we'll have a bit of a better idea about whether this boulder's just a little bit too hard.
Yeah, she's doing all right there actually, with 2 minutes 45 left. I mean, that's the sort of move you could fall off all day, but I think yeah, that's the best progress we've seen on that women's number 1 so far.
So Ursula's just about to pull on. I mentioned earlier, this is the only slabby section of wall, the only off vertical section of wall is this panel she's just pulling onto. So the start holds are actually on an overhang, and then you pull onto this hanging slab. But in the whole, it's a steep wall here in Hachioji, not much slab for the route setters to play with.
Yeah, quite different to the qualification wall as well. Some of the athletes saying it's quite surprising. One of the groups in the men's yesterday had 3 slab, so effectively sort of slab angle boulders yesterday in the qualification tour. So a bit different out here with the semi-final and finals round in the main arena.
Yeah, there is a sub-arena here in Hachioji where they've been running the qualifying round for the last couple of days. Uska just getting ready to go again. 1:45 left, and Sophie Collet. You can just you saw her on the side of your screen, right-hand side of your screen. You can see her shadow as she launches for another go, and that was unsuccessful. So we'll stick with Uska. Yutong Jiang of China will be the next climber out. Interesting to see how she gets on. Had a very, very strong performance earlier on this summer in the lead World Cups. Interesting to see how she gets on here in Hachioji. So Uska already got the zone. Taking her chalk bag, which I think is a good move. You're on this boulder quite a long time.
She's actually got a fair bit of tape on the right-hand side there on the hands as well, which is certainly not going to be helping through this round, but this is where she's just been struggling to put the weight through this right foot and really standing in to this undercut there. To call it a handhold is, well, it's questionable. It's so bad. Just a case of really putting the power through the big toe on the right-hand foot and just trying to really straighten that foot to stand up and cross the left foot through. Just by her right ankle there is a little screw on. It's actually quite a bit worse than the one she's standing on, so this is a real classic slab stand-up move.
I think time-wise that'll probably be it for Uska. It takes so long to get up there, as you could see. You've just got to balance your way up, that she might have to settle for that zone, and I think she is. And Sophie Collet, meanwhile, is going to try again. You can see Uska collecting her scorecard and heading off the stage. Yeah, a few coordination issues with the brusher. And no joy, so nobody yet secured a zone on that first boulder. Just to let you know, it's actually quite hard to describe where the zone is, but there's the big selection of green volumes you can see there that the climbers are going for. It's the second one from the left, so it's kind of the 10 o'clock one as you look at those 4 volumes. When we get a bit of a close-up, you'll see exactly where it is. So here's Yutong Jiang of China. First chance to have a look at her in the World Cup, in the World Championship semi-final. After her, we've got Shauna Coxey and Mihona Naka, World Cup season champions both.
Actually, gives you an idea of how big this wall is. Yutong actually had to really jump up into that first. I saw Mia Crampo having to get a bit of a hoik up as well, to use the technical term. You can see Yutong, yeah, really small climb, has to really jump into it. We're going to see that later on in women's number 4 as well, kind of jump into the start position.
Yeah, I think there's going to be quite a few climbers jumping into the start of women's 4. Yeah. It's a really awkward
Unless
start.
there's only 6-footers in the category. People knocking around the 185, 186 centimetre, unlikely, I think.
Remember, she's got to achieve a stable position on the start holds, the 4 start holds being marked on this occasion by the pink tape. Yeah, she was close at that time. The first time looked very much like a provisional look at it.
Yeah, again, she was going through that sort of left-hand cross-through method all the way through to that right-hand side. You can see Mia Crampo as well, just that starting position. That's the first time we've really had a good look at the starting position as well. Hit that terrible sloper up on the right-hand side, and then this nice little compression sort of palm-down move with the hand and foot match. Such a different story to women's number 1 and number 2. So I say testing all of the climbers skill set.
Crample really having to work hard there. And gets herself onto the thundercut.
Just flips that left hand as well into a thumb as well. But you can see how much straighter her right leg is compared to Urska. Oh, that's good. Just a slight wobble. That classic where you bring your foot up, and as it twists, you're in danger of knocking off the other foot. It's just this really tenuous twist that you have to do on the footholds to get the body position right to make the next move. Yutong absolutely flying through with that left hand. It'd be pretty impressive if you hold that. You can actually tell on women's number one how much force they're putting into that starting position by how far away from the wall they actually land by when they miss the move. They're coming a good few meters away from the wall. It just proves how difficult it is to go that hard and fast and stay close to the wall at the same time.
Yeah, it's a very good handhold they're launching from, the big blue hold, so you really can go full gas. But you somehow got to stop when you get, well, you've got to get there and you've got to stop.
Everything's telling your body to go backwards rather than towards the wall, which it actually has to do.
And what perhaps doesn't come across on the screen, it is overhanging that section of the wall. So as you say, the wall is pushing you off. Anyway, let's have a look at Mia back on the slab. Already been up to the zone. It was the foot swap that stopped her.
See just that right foot pivoting very slightly just to move the right calf and shin out of the way, just to step through with that left foot. So you've got to place the big toe on that blue little screw-on jib and then twist it to make room for the left foot. Really nice classic bit of slab climbing. I really like that move.
Yeah, she's definitely persisting with going through with the left hand.
Yeah, it's quite surprising he hasn't tried anything different just yet. It's one of those ones where she's getting closer and closer to seemingly touching the hold and getting some sort of stop on the move, but well, according to the way that it was read to us, that's not going to work as a method. But oh, that was close though. Getting close with the double hands that time.
It's one of the tricky things about having a time limit. If you're outside, you can take your time over this boulder. You probably figure it out, but you've got 5 minutes. Do you stick with your method, which you're making progress with, but you might not make enough progress, or do you just start again with 2 minutes left? It's a big calculation.
I have to say that's one good thing about the changing of the rules. Not that's the only good thing about the changing of the format of the scoring, is the attempts has become less important now compared to actually getting the zone. So before you might have seen athletes having fewer goes just to try not to burn hundreds of attempts throughout the round. Well, actually, having said that, it would be impressive to get 100 attempts in one round. I'm sure someone must have did it. Some geek out there is going to have the numbers, the most attempts in a round to secure at least one boulder. It'd be interesting maths. Anyway, let's focus back on the action, get carried away there.
Here's Shauna Coxey, 2-time season champion in the World Cups. Never a world champion. Went okay yesterday in the qualifiers, did enough, but
yeah, Shauna's
work to do.
Suggesting on her social media that she's not feeling 100% going into the qualifications yesterday. We managed to get through, like you said, Charlie. We move on to women's number 3 for Urska as well. This really big journey of a boulder through these orange volumes and a couple of black holes towards the end.
And Sophie Koller now on the slab. Urska's, who we saw out first, is now on number 3. Very long boulder. The moves just keep on coming and must be pretty close to the height limit. As I say, boulders have got to be designed in a way that the lowest part of a climber's body never gets above 3 meters, but it must be pretty close on women's 3, and there's an awful lot of moves to get there. Goes traverses up and left across some big orange volumes. Let's stick with Anne-Sophie for now. Trying to do the foot slot slightly differently, keeping the left hip in. Makes a lot of sense, but will it work for the step out?
Yeah, I think she'll be pretty pleased with that first go, actually. Kind of delving into the details a little bit there, but Anne-Sophie Koller's actually got quite a stiffer pair of shoes on compared to the previous climber Mia Krampel on that sort of slab move. And sometimes, depending on the type of slab, if you've just got to really stand up on a foothold like that, slightly sort of medium stiffness or stiff shoe could actually be quite good. So it helps you really put the power through the toes. don't see it that often in the field, but occasionally you see climbers coming out with multiple shoes or different shoes depending on the style. Adam Ondra being the kind of the main man who comes out with a whole selection of tricks. Good effort from there from Sean. A quick right smile. Crowd here.
Yeah, crowd
first real
reacted.
action for them. The crowd's come alive.
Very polite, the crowd here in Japan. So Anne-Sophie Koller trying again. Shauna's back on. Uska's about to pull back on. The wall not far off full right now. 2.5 minutes left. And Shauna has done the big jump move outright. There we go, we cut across to her. So the first climber to stick that one, that's the zone that she just reached up for then. You can see it's just offset, so you can actually hold the right-hand side of the zone hold. That's the zone there, that one. So it's our first good look at the zone, and Shauna, the first climber we've seen attempt these moves, heading out some pretty horrible looking tiny crimps. At what stage did you commit your foot out to the left? Oh, I wonder if you could jump from the zone. I don't think so. You'll have to go left to that horrendous foothold. I think Shauna might be considering going direct. No, drops back down. Thinking about a heel hook. Thinking about anything other than trying to get that left foot out onto the absolutely awful hold in the middle of the wall.
Yeah, she's obviously not happy with that lower left crimp as something that she could lock off on. Trying something different. A really sketchy looking heel hook on the right hand side. 1 minute 35 left. This was a big effort from Shauna. Yeah, she really committed to doing it that go. You feel like
this is the replay we wanted earlier on. What was the method?
Yeah, big step through the left foot. Right foot lands perfectly in the middle of the box in the big sort of release, sometimes called the Yanya swing, out on the right hand side there. Good right hand hold. Nearly lost the left hand, but the little thumb catch underneath, just enough to stop the rotation. Great to see that move go so early on in the semi-final.
And it's amazing how this happens in boulder competitions, where a route boulder can look nigh on impossible. You can have some world-class climbers trying it, and suddenly someone makes a breakthrough, and it's Shauna Coxey who's made the breakthrough on that one. First climber to even secure a zone, and she was one hold away from the top, but you got an insight into just how bad that left foothold was. She really didn't like the look of it. Speaking of bad footholds, here's Anne-Sophie on number 2. And just missed ever so slightly with the thumb, and any mistake gets punished on a boulder that tenuous.
This is a massive moment here for Shauna.
This could be an exceptional start for the semi-final. Shauna Coxey lining it up. It looked pretty touch and go when she did stick this move, but she makes it work this time.
There's going to be no second guessing what her method is up there for her now. You would have thought she's surely decided exactly what she needs to do on the mat. Is she going to hold that left hand, or is she going to go again? Looks like she's going to commit to the go again.
So here goes Shauna Coxey lining it up. Can't decide what to do with those feet. I think we'll have to commit to that terrible foothold. You can hear the clock ticking with 5 seconds to go, and she can't find a way. But she secures a zone which nobody else up until now had done. Miho Nanaka, the 2018 World Cup season champion, is out on the mats. Yutong Jang has come back out, and Mia Krampel is over on number 3. Urskura Pusic will be out next to attempt boulder number 4, at which stage the stage will be full. Here is Miho. Again, perhaps not her best day in the qualifiers. She's struggled with a shoulder injury, actually on both sides. She did one shoulder and then did the other one, and you can see the right hand one still taped. But it didn't look like it's been holding her back too much so far this season. Perhaps yesterday was just an off day. Let's see, we're about to find out. She gets her World Championship semi-final underway and looked pretty close to those holds. Didn't stick them, but the body positioning was good.
Yeah, really good. Really interesting start from Yutong as well. Just straight into the left hand up off the starting hold. Charlie and I have a good debate about that earlier, whether that's even possible, and Yutong proved straight away that it's possible. So women's number 2 has 2 methods off the deck as well. Just pulling on, crossing over the left hand, or going straight, crossing through the right hand, or going straight up with the left hand. Looks like she's choosing a different method for the feet here as well, opting for the high foot initially. Nice move on women's number 1. Hopefully we get to see a bit of Miho on that one as well.
Yeah, just so you know, if you heard the crowd reacting, that was because Miho had an attempt on number 1, and looked pretty hopeful. Yutong Jang just cannot find a way of getting around those volumes. This is our first good look at women's 3 with Mia Krampel. As I said, very burly, physical boulder and an awful lot of moves. If you are just tuning in, you're wondering where the men are, by the way. Obviously, normally we have the semi-finals running concurrently. I'll resume in just a second as Miho Nanaka sticks the big move out right. Big reaction from the crowd. So she'll have to secure the zone next. There it is.
I have to say, Charlie, the top section on this boulder looks so hard. That foothold that we saw Shauna trying to use in the middle of the wall on the left-hand side looks really low and really bad, combined with these bad crimps. Let's have a look for Miho, though.
Here goes Miho up to that penultimate hold. You can see the top beckoning. It's not a bad hold you're going for, but it's not great. You can't just leap for it. She has to go in something resembling a controlled position. Again, really doesn't look like the look of that left foothold, and who can blame her? Jumps for the top, and I have to say, it looked possible.
Yeah, that was awesome full commitment early on in the round there for Miho. I think she's going to try that again, to be honest. That lower left crimp in the wall is obviously so bad that both Shauna and Miho, amazing athletes on their own right, really not enjoying that lower crimp and using it as a bump and then a go again. I think Miho will have a good rest and just give this absolutely everything to this finish hold.
That was the attempt. Yeah, she wasn't too far off. I was just saying, by the way, if you're wondering where the men's semi-final is, normally they run concurrently, men's and women's semi-final. But the fact that the boulder wall has to be squeezed into this arena means it just isn't big enough to accommodate two semi-finals at the same time. So the men will be out about an hour and a half after the conclusion of this women's semi-final. So the semi-finals running separately here in Hachioji, unlike a normal World Cup. So Yutong Jiang, again a different method. Tries to go for the higher foothold with the right foot first. Looking very, very tenuous. All three climbers currently on the mats, looking up and wondering what to do. Mia Krampel gets the brush and gets to work. And here goes Miho Nanaka. Remember, got to achieve a stable position in the start holes for it to be a legal attempt. She does that. She does the jump out right, and I have to say, look very controlled. Yes. The left foot barely cut loose.
So much power going across the bottom of the wall there. Brilliant.
Oh, and that's annoying for an extra attempt burned up.
I think very similar to Shauna there, actually. She gave the first go the full package of beans, and yeah, really took a lot out of her. And I think she's breathing really hard with 40 seconds left on the mat. It's going to be another close but no cigar here on women's number one potentially. Let's see what Miho's got on her final go as we look at Yutong. Just really struggling to stand on these bottom feet.
And just so you know, Miho was not successful with the jump out to the right this time. So it's relatively unusual. Once a climber's got a move like that dialed, they generally bring it home, and I think she's going to get timed out, even if she does do the move, which she doesn't. It's a bit like Shauna Cox here, a frustrating one from Miho. Probably the closer of the two attempts between her and Shauna. She did get a good hand on the top hold, just couldn't stay there. Mia Krampel, sadly, will not have any time to make further progress there. So Uska comes back out, and Sophie Koller comes back out, Shauna Coxey comes back out, and Luce Duardi, the French up-and-comer, just 16 years old, and looking very, very handy on a lead wall as well as a boulder wall. Keep an eye on her with the combined championships beckoning at the end of this week.
You can see if anybody's kind of wondering what they're doing. Is 3 out of 4 climbers, they're actually all placing a towel down at the base of the wall. These like vinyl covered mats really pick up the chalk and the dirt, and yeah, the climbers basically put the towel down just to keep the boots clean.
So here goes Usk. It's an awkward start there on number 4. We'll have a look at it a bit later on, but basically you've got to got 3 of your limbs on that red hold, which is a pretty counterintuitive thing to do. But she got the first move done. Here's Anne-Sophie on this savagely hard women's 3. Shauna attempting the slab, and then Luce Duardi is just lining up her first, perhaps second attempt at the big jump on number 1 and is unsuccessful. So let's stick with Shauna. Very controlled so far. You almost feel bad for talking. You just don't want to disturb them. They're a long way from us, and there's an awful lot of noise in the arena anyway, but you can just, it feels so tenuous watching. You feel like you need to whisper.
It's the way that you can just see her just pumping the right foot a little bit, just trying to get the perfect contact through the feet. Really straight-legged at the moment there from Shauna. That's the position she wants to be in.
Yeah, this position from the zone is one of those positions where it's okay to hold it. It's another thing to leave it, and you can see.
The classic thing where you breathe and you fall off, basically. She was trying something a little bit different there as well, just trying to lean down to the giant blue foothold out on the right there as well. So we'll be interested to see if that becomes a method.
Luce Duardi didn't look too far off on that jump move. As Uska heading up to the zone, I don't think she'll be awarded that by the judges. So not many scores yet. We haven't had a top in this semi-final. Shauna Coxey's got both zones so far. That's enough to put her in the lead. Remember, we're looking for the climbers. Climbers are judged primarily on how many tops they get, and if they're tied on that, it comes down to how many zone holds they get. Still tied, it comes down to attempts to top and then attempts to zone. So they're the 4 ways we separate the climbers. No tops yet, and as I say, Shauna Coxey leading the way with 2 zones. Got the first zone on her 4th go, and she got the 2nd zone on her 1st go. And Sophie Culler, I think, doing what we might see 1 or 2 climbers doing today, which is a puff of the cheeks at this boulder.
Wow, that's hard. I have to say, when I was previewing the boulders myself, just looked up and looked, wow, that looks so hard.
I think the living end was the description you used, if I remember rightly. Yeah, it's one of those boulders where you stand underneath it and just giggle and slide.
Well, you'll be giggling when somebody inevitably just cruises it as well later on in the round.
Definitely one of those boulders that's more fun to watch than climb, I'd imagine. Looks absolutely savage. Luce Duardi still on the mats, by the way, but I think looking not too far off on that big move right. Here's Shauna on the slab. It's only really half a slab. Her feet are still on overhanging terrain. It's only when she pulls up now that she's onto a slab proper.
Interesting. Shauna trying something different here. She's doing the calculations as to whether she can use that right hand big volume a little bit earlier or not.
So I think she's going to end up with pretty much the same method. I think it looked like she was just trying to swap hands on the zone when she fell last time.
Goes for this left toe hook option. That's the first time we've really seen that be employed properly. Exact same result. Just as she goes to lean down to the right hand side, she leans away from the wall and she loses the thumb.
I guess the problem is as well, if she does get the right hand down, where do you go from there? It's got to be pretty tenuous to then put your feet where your hand is. Let's see, here's Luce Duardi. I mentioned earlier she's not far off on that move, and this time she makes it work. Sensibly secures the zone before doing anything else, so she's got something out of the boulder at least, and really then drops back down.
Stretched on that zone, a little sort of overlapping volume slot. Really low on it, and with good. At the time when she first got that 20 seconds left, she was sort of almost really rushing when she didn't potentially need to there.
I think quite sensible climbing from her though. She, I think, knew might as well get the zone secured, so showed the judges that she had it in control, but couldn't find a way of moving on from there. Evgenia Kazbekova, the next climber to get their semi-final underway. She is climbing on women's 1. On number 2, we've got Miho Nanaka, Yutong Jiang on number 3, and Mia Krampel on number 4.
I have to say, as Urska finished her round on boulder number 4, though, she was clapping the crowd. You can clearly see blood on the fingertips. And with a week like this, with very short breaks, it's going to be a huge factor, I think, with this Olympic combined at the end of the week. Who can get through the rounds, going full gas, as they probably will, to try and win the World Championships, and get themselves to the combined event at the end of the week in one piece and with enough skin to actually perform to your highest possible standard. You know, the stakes at the end of this week are the biggest climbing's ever seen. So to come out the end of the bouldering qualification, no tops, barely any zones, but bleeding tips is absolutely not where you want to be.
And in the meantime, before the combined, we've got the small matter of the biggest prize in each individual discipline of climbing to be decided.
Well, because it's so big, we were chatting with Jakob Schubert just last night, saying, you know, will people try and just get through the week? He says, no, I think people are competitors, they want to go out there and win. And that's what we want to see. We want people going absolutely full beans in every single discipline. Yutong
Jiang is looking really good here on number 3, by the way. We didn't see much of her attempt, but this boulder, which has stopped pretty much everyone in their tracks, she's absolutely flying up, secured the zone. Still got a lot of moves to go. That black hold is the top, but still work to be done. Yeah, it's a very busy week because after this the climbers have got lead qualifiers. If they then make it through to the semi-finals, they'll be climbing again on Thursday. So for the men who did their qualifiers yesterday, they've got their bouldering semi-finals and finals today, league qualifiers tomorrow, and league semi-finals and finals on Thursday. They've got 4 days in a row. So as you say, it is a brutal schedule, and then of course with the speed, and then the combined to come. Evgenia trying a static method. Hard to see that working, but I'd enjoy being surprised.
It's the first real good look at women's number 4. This sort of interesting start position where you have to get the feet really high, cross through to that left-hand pocket, which is surprisingly bad in that angle actually, but then a really physical end to the women's competition in these next set of moves, just powering through these big volumes. They're real skin sappers as well, those sort of moves where you're jumping over an angle change there, dragging off a fiberglass volume, repetitive number of times that you're doing that as well. I think skin could be a huge factor here. You can just see Miho working that little thundercut, just really struggling to get anything out of it, really not being able to stand into it at all.
Stick with Yutong Jiang on this bowl. It would have been interesting to see how she got to her high point last time. Evgenia still now really committing to the jump, but sadly not making much progress with it.
Yeah, she's trying to put her right foot, skipping the middle black volume, trying to go right foot to the far right hand side rather than stepping through with the left leg first. So I'm not sure if that's just a route reading mistake or something that she's just trying to see if it works for her.
Let's have a look at Mia now on number 4. Had a good go up to the zone, but that time the left foot cut loose before she could really make much progress. Miho Nanaki getting plenty of encouragement. We've seen quite a few climbers securing the zone on this one. In fact, all climbers who've attempted the boulder have actually secured the zone, but nobody yet's converted it.
How much the hands were shaking on that undercut feature.
Right, here's Jiang, and that's a good angle to see it from. This section looks pretty satisfying, working your way up that canoe-shaped volume. But she cannot, I think, reach her high point again. Is that an injury, or is that just saving a bit of juice for number 4?
Last couple of attempts there, she did come down sort of shaking off the wrist, so she's definitely got a long way to go this week. She's a very good lead climber as well, so hopefully she's with 30 seconds left. She's actually quite sensible in walking away from that one. Miho gets the first climber to successfully step through the left foot, stem out the right foot. This is good for Miho. A couple of really tenuous moves still to go though. She is out of time, but does secure the zone. But she secured the zone really early, as most climbers, as Charlie said earlier, already have. So yeah, Miho, a bit of a wasted attempt there unfortunately, but did make progress, which was good for us to see.
Sofia Yokoyama of Switzerland, the second of 3 Swiss climbers in this women's semi-final. The 2016 world champion Petra Klingler will be out quite a bit later on. So it's 2 Swiss climbers on the stage, and Sophie Koller now attempting number 4. And let's have a look at Sofia. Trying to figure out which foot to go with. Wall's just trying to push you away. You've got a hand on both holds, but was sadly already on the way down by the time she got them there. Here's Anne-Sophie here. Yeah, just if the feet cut loose, you haven't really got much chance there. They've got to stay in place, provide you with a bit of help. Here's Shauna on number 3. Shauna climbed in the final here in Hachioji in the World Cup in 2017. She was 9th in 2018 when we came last year. What can she do in 2019 where it's a World Championships, not a World Cup? And that's nice work from here. That's the zone secured. Required a lot of strength in the shoulder, but she had it. Problem is now how to get the feet down and left.
Yeah, I think she's going to go for the coming into this shoulder Gaston first before moving the feet. This is really good here from Shauna. Has read it perfectly so far. Oh, nice little toe hook on the underside of that volume just to try and get the body to twist round. Again with Shauna, she had a really, really big go on the first go. I think there was how steep this wall is, how high it is.
You can see there on your screens, top left, she's leading the way. 3 zones, still no top in this semi-final. I wonder if the route setters might be getting slightly nervous. Miho Nanaka and Shauna Coxey both been unleashed on some of the boulders. And still no tops.
Yeah, I think with the semi-final round, a lot of times, especially with Manu Hasler, they go for quite a stern round in the semis to guarantee that result for before you go into the final. So semi-final round, obviously traditionally the hardest round between the 3 qualification, semi and finals. Make sure they get a result. Yeah, we've seen it in the lead time and time again where there's big ties going into finals, and it all gets very pressurised for the route setters in the finals. But if you get a good split in the semis, even if that means not an amazing show for us at home or the people in the arena, just a few tops, get the job done.
Yeah, the key is to get as you say, it is often the hardest round because they just want to get the top 6 climbers through and then try and make the final the best show it can be. But these do look particularly tough. But Shauna Coxley secured a zone on everyone. She's just sitting on the mat. You might be able to see her there just between those 2 brushes. Luce Duardi, the only climber on the wall right now, got the zone on number 1. Only the 3rd climber to get the zone. Watch out for her in the lead as well. She's a name we're going to be hearing more and more from in the coming years.
Yeah, she's going for that cross through with the right hand method that we've seen a number of athletes actually be successful with, but not dropping her knee, so she's actually going really fast to it.
Yeah, really rushing it looks up to that hole. Let's see if she changes things up slightly.
I actually think she's struggling with her height a little bit on that first move. Really struggling to control the left hand. Does much better this time out of the shot at the moment as we focused on Anne-Sophie.
Yeah, that was the start position. We've mentioned it a couple of times. The first good chance to have a look at it where you've got to get your feet up onto that red hole. Sophia going full commitment out to the right. And getting the right and left hand landing, but not really looking like she's able to stay there. So Shauna's had a really long break. Here she go on women's 3. It'd be good if we can stay with her all the way. Again, nice. Looks like a really satisfying section to climb this, working your way up the canoe.
Shuffle up the canoe.
Definitely the first time those words have ever been used in conjunction on an IFSC live stream. Shuffle up the canoe. And then you've got another one out here straight above.
Yeah, but to see what method she goes for. It goes for the desperate crossover, full commitment, full power. She also calculated with that she had 1 good attempt left and changed her method from going into it as a Gaston. Rather than using the shoulder, she goes firing through the right hand hold. It's a really bad undercut. It's actually it's a canoe that's very similar to the one before it. So it's big, but it's not good.
There we can see Alana Yip, Evgenia Kazbekova, Miho Nanaka and Yutong Zhang, the climbers out. Really good day for Alana Yip in the qualifiers. It was the day before yesterday. So the women have actually had a rest day. The men qualified yesterday. So they're climbing on successive days. They're climbing again in the lead. But here is Alana Yip, Canada's sole representative in the women's semi-final. So lining up the jump, 4 minutes left. Got good solid contact on both holds.
Nice from Evgenia Kazbekova. First climber to get through to this sort of penultimate move. She's so good on the slabs. We saw that in Munich earlier this year, one of the only climber to climb on the slab in the semi-final round. She's got history as being a superb slab climber, showing it there.
I'd be really interested to see if progress is made on that slab, whether that's the method. She went from the top from the big blue foothold. Can you creep a little bit higher? Here's Yutong Zhang, number 4. kept the feet on, then they cut loose once she got the hold. You can see just where her right thumb is, there's a tiny little red screw on to help her out. Oh, she wasn't far off on the zone again. Don't think she'll be awarded that by the judges. You've got to use or control it. Touch and go, literally. Two and a half minutes left for these climbers now. Evgenia is high on number 2. There we go. Once again, she's cruising up. Now then, what will she do? Will she try and go from the top from here as she did last time, or will she use those terrible right feet? At some stage, you've got to... Oh, she did so well there. I'm still not quite sure how she stayed on the wall. At some stage, you've got to commit outright. She did it perfectly. Are we about to see the first top of the semi-final? We are. Evgenia Kazbekova finds the first top.
Not sure what it is about massive moments in semi-final rounds and slab climbs with Evgenia Kazbekova. Looked like she was on a different boulder to some of the athletes there. Different set of footholds. So casual, just standing up through those bottom 2 screw-ons before moving out right. Just had that stability through the body every time she stood up. Big moment. She did use that small jib on the right-hand side before firing into the double undercut to finish. A move that requires a very similar foot position to the thumb catch section in the middle, just really powering through the right foot, pushing up into 2 undercuts. Good workout for the thumbs.
Yes. Yeah, Evgenia really showing her slab climbing prowess there. I mean, if this round is as hard as it appears at this stage, bearing in mind Alana Yip's the 10th climber out, so we're halfway through, maybe not time-wise, but we've seen half the climbers now on Boulder 1. If this round is as hard as it looks, 1 top, 4 zones, you just don't know.
Yeah, well, we saw it in Munich.
Yeah.
She was the only climber to get, well, the second climber beside Janja to get a top.
Yeah.
She was the only one. It was on the slab and it got her into the finals. So, yeah, we'll see. Early days.
Yeah, it is, but as in the Munich World Cup back in May, we did have 4 of the 6 finalists, if memory serves me right, who didn't even have a top in the semi-finals, so could come in very handy. Let's stick with Alana Yip for now, because with 35 seconds to go, she's found her way up to the zone. That could come in handy. Could we see her first top on women's 1? Bumps up with the left hand to the second tiny crimp. Will she commit to the big foot out left? I think as she committed the right hand down, the foot just cut loose. She couldn't hang on to it. 15 seconds to go. I think this will be an attempt for zone only for Jiang. Yeah, hasn't secured the zone actually on number 4, so...
Miho having another really last minute go at a boulder. She's just trying to secure the zone.
Right, so Miho Nanaka has attempted 3 boulders and comes away with just 2 zones. Gives you a bit of an insight into what a tough round this is. And yeah, Yutong Jiang definitely does not look happy. I think it was the right wrist. Laura Rigora, the next climber out. We actually ran into her in the metro station this morning at Kazama station right next to the venue. So you can see Laura Rigora, Sofia Yokoyama, Lucy Duardi and Shauna Coxey, the climbers out. Laura not too close just yet on her first attempt. We've seen her generally be more successful down the years in lead. Very good day in the qualifiers, day before yesterday for her.
Shauna Coxey, final boulder of her tour then.
So Shauna displaced in the rankings as they stand right now by Evgenia Kazbekova, by that top from Evgenia. But if Shauna could find a top, or at least a zone here, 4 zones might not look too bad by the end of this round. Nice and accurate there, landed with the right thumb exactly where it needed to be. Oh, she's not far off in that zone again. I'm pretty sure judges won't award that as controlled or used, but she got a good hand on it. Knows how it feels, get a bit of an insight. So, what can Sophia do? This boulder been topped by Evgenia Kazbekova, the slab master. Kind of moves so tenuously. You can see there from our wall-mounted camera high above her. There's so little to use as you push out right. At some stage you've got to get your left hand where her right currently is, get your right foot out onto the big blue hole and go from there.
With that thumb catch, there's no sort of little lip on it at all. It's just a really rounded undercut, so there's nothing to really sort of really dig into. It's just all about the body position.
You can see there Laura Agora, even by the standards of competition climbers, is particularly short. She's having to really jump to get the start holds. Getting closer, certainly progress made the first time we saw her. She didn't even get a hand on the holds. This time she's getting much closer. Luce Duardi on number 3 now, which you have to say after Shauna Cox's attempt suddenly looks very toppable for someone who's got the required horsepower and who gets the method right.
Both Miho and Shauna doing the same move, just flicking out left into the underside of that next volume. Really nice little opposition move that, with the right hand on the side of that slope and the left hand down, pushing on the volume. If either of those holds was in a slightly worse position, the move wouldn't work, so it's a good bit of route setting here.
There from Laura. Shauna again. Again, very accurate with that right hand. Can she make the zone work this time? It's pretty much the same outcome. A good solid hand on it, but never really still. Always moving back down. Here goes Laura. You can see she has to go with so much momentum. Actually bailed out of that attempt. 1:15 left for her to figure out a way. Sophia now back on number 2. So we've got Shauna Coxey actually just sitting with her legs crossed on the far side of the stage, just underneath the speed wall. I think is saving all her gas for her last attempt, which is pretty much what she did on number 3, and it almost paid off. Sophia, very, very tenuous moves. If she could get stood up there, you might stand a chance of moving out right, but we saw Evgenia Kazbekova get out with the right foot on the blue hole, and it actually required a second attempt even from there.
Yeah, it's so easy to wobble off at any moment once you're in that upper slab. Agora is racking up many attempts here, but she's actually getting closer and closer.
So here goes Shauna Coxey. Got to give this absolutely everything. Could do with taking something away from this boulder, and sadly for her is not going to, so she'll end her round with 3 zones. Laura Agora, not the boulder for her. As I say, primarily we see her in the lead competitions, and perhaps not got the outright power, and also that boulder probably a little easier if a little taller, so not the boulder for her, but plenty more chances a bit later on. Kyra Conley gets underway now. I'm really looking forward to seeing Kyra unleashed on this powerful first boulder, and the third one and the fourth one as well, actually. Always a good climber to watch. Alana Yip, Evgenia Kazbekova and Mihona Naka, the other climbers out. Really strong field on the 4 boulders right now. So there goes Kyra, she pulls on. Lining it up. Did a little foot shuffle there, kind of swapped on that right hand start hold.
Yeah, how do you describe what that move was called? I was just thinking what would I call that, as a shuffle. Quick foot match in the middle of the wall. I was wondering if we were going to see anybody try that rather than the big step through. Miho, this big, powerful rotation move.
Oh, she does stick the zone. Miho Nanaka, first climber to actually stick the zone hole. So progress being made here on number 4, but there's a couple more powerful moves to come. You've got those 2 opposing sloping volumes. Do you go for the right hand one? Do you go for the left hand one? How do you get your feet up? There's still a lot of climbing to be done after that, but this was how she secured the zone. It was her first attempt. Bosh.
Such a good move. All power off the right hand side of the body, the right arm and the right foot. Little flick to the left leg to get the momentum going.
Lana into the Thundercling, but we've seen a lot of climbers secure the zone. In fact, Luce Duardi, the only climber who's attempted the boulder and not secured the zone. This is good work from Alana. Kyra Conley just had a good go, managed to get the move out right done on number 1 and secured the zone, but couldn't get any higher. Here's Evgenia Kaspakova, the only climber so far with the top in the women's semi-final. Managed to find, I think, a tiny bit of a knee bar. Not that you really need a rest by that stage, but I wonder if she might use it. No, she's going to just work her way up. Again, slightly different method from Shauna. We saw Shauna with both hands over on the right on that canoe volume, but Evgenia just using the right hand, gets it straight to the top and then slaps the left out to the zone. And she's climbing really well here. That looked a slightly awkward form. I'm just watching her. She's still clutching her lower back. That would not be good if Evgenia's hurt herself here after such a strong performance. Let's stick with Kyra Conley for now. Already got the zone, so
yes, this is where
it's
Kyra
for the
was
second
before.
time. So what can she do? She'll bump up with the left hand. If she could just trust that left foothold, it is absolutely terrible. If it might just be enough to get there. Oh, and Kyra just split second of indecision cost her there, but suddenly that boulder looks very toppable, and it looks toppable for Kyra. She's got just under 2 minutes to find a way. I'm just looking along the stage. Evgenia Kaspakova still looks in a bit of discomfort, but I think he's okay. Came down and instantly held her lower back and was kind of crouching on all fours, still holding the lower back. But I'm pleased to say now, looks to be absolutely fine.
So Kyra is one of those climbers who's got so much power but so much energy to go with it. She very rarely is in a stable position. It's always just moving, adjusting little moves here and there. It's really easy to make little mistakes. I don't think she's like overly nervous, but that's what it looks like on the wall. She's got so much talent and power to go alongside it. It really seems to work for her.
So she secured the zone on her 4th attempt, Kyra. This is Miho Nanaka, already got the zone on this one. And once again secures the zone, but as I said earlier, there might not be many holds left, but there's an awful lot of moves left. That red hold that we just caught a glimpse of, that's where she's heading, that is the top. Again, chooses to pop out right.
Yeah, I think you've got to go out right, but you've got to go relatively statically off the heel. Really lock in that fiberglass volume over the lip to really control the right hand side. It's such a bad volume going out to on the right hand side. Kyra can't get back into that position after the jump again. She definitely looked the strongest on that top section.
Yeah, she looked like she had power to spare, swapping between those holds, but it was just that momentary indecision that really came back to haunt her.
The next climber on from 1.
So, Evgenia Kaspakova, the only climber still with the top. Miho Nanaka ends up with 3 zones, same as Shauna Coxey. Miho ahead solely on attempts to get those zones. Cheon Seo gets her World Championship semi-final underway. Laura Gore is back out. Sofia Yokoyama and Luce Duardi all on the stage as well, excuse me. Cheon Seo, of course, won 2 out of the 3 lead World Cups she's entered in her life.
It's not a bad record. Let's see what she can do in the boulder.
Yeah, pretty handy.
Just tried a different method as her first attempt there. You're just trying to do it all off the right leg on the black volume.
Yeah, she entered 3 lead World Cups, second, first and first. So battle between her and Janja Garnbret, certainly in the lead, but it would appear in the bouldering as well. Could be something very special. Let's stick with Sofia Yokoyama, struggling to get established on that huge volume. You can see their chance, as I say, vastly successful lead career as it stands in lead, albeit she's only entered 3 World Cups. She's got a 66% win rate. Perhaps just lacking the outright power for this move. Looks well short. Laura Gora looking a little frustrated, which is exactly how she looked on number 1. Right, so lining it up again. Really looks as if she just doesn't want to commit. There's no way around it really. You just got to go full gas. She's close to that time. Her arms are straight, so you've got nothing to cushion the landing, if you like.
Yeah, those jumps, you always need a little bit of bend in the arms just to try and engage the muscles through the sort of upper arm, the biceps and the shoulders. If you hit it straight on, you're really relying on the contact strength of your skin in the fingers, apart from doing yourself a significant amount of damage usually in the shoulder at the same time.
Let's have a look this time. How close can she get? She was certainly closer the last time.
Yeah.
She's close again, but it's like a bottomed out suspension almost. If there's no give, it just makes it a bit more solid.
So you wonder if she'll use a different method there. She's going everything off the right foot. I wonder if she'll be using the left foot step through method that we've seen so successful from the likes of Shauna and Miho. Kaya also.
Laura Rigora. 2 minutes to go for her. So lining it up here. And again, it's a very similar outcome. She's getting a hand on them, but with straight arms like that, it means the weight just comes instantly onto your hands and fingers. There's no suspension at all provided by the shoulders and the biceps.
That was somehow crimping up the footholds there. Desperate, they're bad footholds. No idea how bad they would be as a handhold.
So Luce Duardi and Sofia Yokoyama currently brushing. Laura Gora looking at the wall, and Cheyenne Sir attempting the big move on number 1. Sadly for her, I'm afraid she doesn't look that close to sticking it right now. Can she find a slightly different sequence with the feet? Will she save her energy and just give it one really big attempt towards the end? I wouldn't have thought so. We'll see. Laura Gora's really not got on with either of the boulders so far. Going for an intermediate crimp on that foothold. Yeah, she's cut a frustrated figure so far today, Laura Gora.
Just used the same method every single go so far. Wonder if 40 seconds left she'll try something different, because you're not really getting very close, even though she's touching the holes, to be fair, but very big difference between touching them and doing the move.
Just under 30 seconds to go. I think that will be it for Sofia Yokoyama. And, she may have another attempt, but Cheyenne not making much progress on number 1, and actually has just picked up her towel and had enough. I think Luce Duardi ditto on number 4, so still Evgenia Kaspakova the only climber with a top. We're an hour and 5 minutes in. We've seen just a one top, brutally hard round, but as Mike said earlier, often the semi-final round is the hardest, because the key really is to get the separation. It's to get the 6 climbers selected for the final. Luchka Rakovic now gets her World Championship semi-final underway. Kyra Condi's back out, Alana Yip and Evgenia Kaspakova. What a position she could put herself in. If she could find a zone, actually would still put her in a pretty strong position. That Evgenia would end up with 1 top and 3 zones if she could find something here on number 4. Either way, she's the only climber so far in this semi-final with a top.
I have to say, Charlie, we talked about the difficulty of the boulders. You just mentioned it again there. I think it is a hard round by looking how far down we are in the list already. 14th climber out, Luchka, 1 top to the round so far. We've seen a couple of climbers relatively close on number 1, but yeah, I don't think we'll be seeing a blizzard of tops to finish the competition, unfortunately. We'll definitely see a few, but whether it'll be loads of tops all of a sudden, I don't think so. Good, really hard set of boulders though. It's not as if everybody's just standing on the ground, unfortunately. We're seeing climbers getting high and putting in big burns like we're seeing here with Alana as well.
Wow, yeah, it'll be interesting. I mean, I agree there may not be a flurry of tops, but if you look, 3rd to last climber out, 2016 World Champion Petra Klingler. 2nd to last climber out, 4-time World Cup season champion Akio Noguchi. And last climber out, Janja Garnbret, reigning world champion, who's clean swept every Boulder World Cup of the year. So we may, you never know when those 3 get unleashed on the boulders. Futaba Ito, Fanny Gibert still to come. But I agree, I suspect we may not see 4 tops from anyone, but how many times have we said that before? And then Yanya comes out.
I mean, it's best not go into predictions right now.
Yeah,
I
in
think.
fact, let's just leave that one right there.
I
think we'll park that one.
Let's say with predictions, though, it's fun if you're at home. It's good to kind of have a bit of a stab at, who out of that remaining 6 or 7 climbers, who could do what. It's always an interesting kind of little game to play. Very dangerous though if you're putting money on it.
But the problem is our predictions get broadcast and recorded. Everyone else can claim they saw it coming. Here's Evgenia. As I say, if she could get a zone here, which is the next hold, clever use of that heel hook. I think she might have slightly over-compressed herself almost by having her right heel next to her right hand. But if she could secure a zone, she'd have a fantastic score.
Kind of have to say with Evgenia there, I hope she's got good physios in her teams, because she's clearly unhappy with her back. When she pulled off there, she just sort of slowly winced and walked very slowly and sat down. With lead, what used to be her kind of favourite discipline still to come in the week, in speed as well. Thought she might have to walk away from this one.
Yeah, we'll see. Let's keep an eye on Alana Yip. Already had the zone. Gets it again. No top yet on this boulder. Only one boulder's been top. That was number 2. What will the method be? You can see she's got power to burn. She's not quite sure how she managed without her feet, even for a couple of seconds there.
She chose to under-wrap that triangle with the left hand rather than sort of over-wrap that we saw from Miho and Shauna, which means it's good and it's secure because you get a lot of wrist and a lot of skin, and it just goes a very painful position to hold. It's usually really hard to squeeze the feet up that high afterwards. It's a good position to get into to secure that move, but then getting out of it is usually quite hard.
Luchka Rakovic now pulling back on, ditto Evgenia Kaspakova. I wonder if she is just gunning for a zone here. Again, chooses to get the right heel up. As I say, you get very compressed. It kind of means your right elbow then hits your right knee as you go up. Yeah, definitely does not look comfortable. You can see in her movements. Definitely something not quite right in her back. That would be a real shame if the only climber with the top was then carrying an injury if she did make it through to the finals. There are the scores as they stand. Mihona Naka and Shauna Coxey with 3 zones. Also Alana Yip. Alana Yip has the opportunity on number 4 to make it 4 zones.
Just seen off the shot at the moment there, Evgenia has just called it a day on that one. She's holding her back, sat down for briefly and now walks off the stage, so she hopefully can keep an eye on that and see how that progresses, because at the moment she's obviously in a finals position.
Well, we'll see. Alana Yip has also had enough of number 3, and I think Kyra's had enough of number 2. Luchka, I think we'll call it a day on number 1 as well. Yeah, I think most climbers will know that feeling where something pings in your back. It's quite hard to describe, isn't it? But we all know it when we feel it.
Yeah, as soon as you know something's not quite right, you really do worry about making it a lot worse.
Yeah. In my relatively limited experience of my back pinging, it does seem it can be loosened off relatively quickly if you've just pinched something, but it depends what the nature of the injury is. It would be really, really sad if she did make the final and then was carrying an injury. Anyway, we'll deal with that if it happens. Nanako Kura about to get underway. Cheonsa, Laura Gore and Sofia Yokoyama, the climbers on the wall right now. The wall completely full. We're going right to left. Women's 1 over on the right. Women's 4 over on the left. So what will Laura Agora make of number 3? You can't help but feel slightly sorry for her in this round. Just hasn't liked the boulders at all that she's had to go at so far. All 4 climbers currently standing on the mats with 4 minutes to go and looking up. They've all had an attempt.
It's really what I would describe as a proper bouldering round. There's no sort of like line of crimps that you can just sort of really slowly edge your way up, or any really sort of endurance style boulders. It's a proper selection of modern bouldering out there. So if you've not got all the tricks of the trade, it's not going to work for you. Combined with the fact that these are clearly a brutal set of boulders.
Laura Agora going for the Shauna Coxey method, I think, of working the right hands up. Working up the right hand side of that volume.
Really working a knee bar in there as well, which to make it fit, she's actually really powering through the toe.
can see how much effort was going in there. She was grimacing as she climbed. Nanako Kura. Good day yesterday for her in the, day before yesterday in the qualifiers. She topped all five boulders in her group. As did Chernsa. No top so far. As I say, still just the one top in this semi-final. It's been a brutally hard round. The point, if you like, is to separate the climbers, and it's certainly doing that, but it is exacting quite a toll on them.
Yeah, it's only separating them by zones and temperature zones at the moment, but that was nice.
Yeah, Nanako Kura gets it this time. That will be the zone safely secured. I think the judges will have awarded that to her. What can she do now? She will have been awarded it now, that is for sure. Bumped up with the right foot, just didn't look that comfortable in that position.
Yeah, it's really hard to get anything out of that sort of zone. It's a sort of overlapping volumes to create a big side pull crimp, but it's a really bad one.
Very powerful way of doing that move from Laura Agora. Smashed out left to what is little more than a round foothold, but suddenly progress being made. At some stage needs to cut the feet off. Real flexibility required as well to get your foot that high. Now what hand will she go with into the next big canoe volume? She had a look with the left hand. I think she might cross through with the right. Let's have a look. Bumping that right hand up as if she wants to release it. Oh, she does really well to hang on to it. Laura Agora looking strong here, but what can she do with the left hand?
Sorry,
very good attempt.
Yeah, multiple different sort of knee bars and stuff to get into that position, but the semi-final was really sort of getting exciting now as Jaehyun is established properly on the slab this time. Yeah, hopefully with a minute left we'll see Laura making the final go on that, because she has some interesting techniques up there. The way that she went into that upside down canoe, the way Shauna tried it as well, just firing into the underside of that volume. Rutet's suggesting it's better to kind of get established and go into it as a shoulder. We saw that with Shauna's first attempt. We get it as a big Gaston and then rock into it and match. But we've only seen a couple of climbers that high up on the wall, so yeah, with 40 seconds on the left, Laura will have to make a really good effort on this last go. She does pull on fall off straight away, so that'll be that, I think.
Yeah, it's burned an awful lot of energy getting to where she did. She has been rewarded, of course, with the zone as Nanako Kura this time gets the jump done. And once again back up to the zone, but just can't quite figure out where to go from there. So frustrating, you can see how close the top is. Now she bumps up to the zone. Are we about to see a first top? Nanako Kura lining it up with 5 seconds to go, and like her compatriot Miho Nanaka gets a good right hand on the top. She can't control it and she couldn't bring the left up. But that, along with Miho, is probably the closest anyone's been. And certainly she's only the second climber to get a really good hand on the top.
Yeah, they're really not enjoying that left foot. It's so low and so bad, as we said before, that they just seem to be favouring the all commitment launch to the finish hold. It's slightly facing the wrong way. But, I reckon that could work, the jump.
Fanny Gibert out. Luchka Rakovic continues her semi-final, and Kyra Condi and Alana Yip are climbing. I suspect Kyra might have got to the foot of this boulder and been quite happy with what she's seen. Real powerful boulder. Be interesting to see how she gets on with it.
Well, it's really interesting. Fanny, if she gets high on the boulder as well, she's actually been training for this competition, occasionally using top ropes on the boulders to try and protect a bit of a, I think it was a knee injury, picked up really close to this championship, so she's just got to be a little bit careful going through the round. So I wonder if that'll be playing on her mind at all, otherwise, or if she's back in full fitness.
So Luchka going well on the slab so far. Fanny just had an attempt at the jump, by the way, didn't manage to do it. Kyra and Alana both down on the mats as well, so all 4 climbers down right now. Here's Kyra on number 3. As you said, Mike, got that kind of springy style. I'm surprised not getting on with the boulder a little better. There's Luchka. We were very glad of her navigating skills earlier on the metro to get to the venue. It's our first day here in Hachioji. Her and Yanya Garnbrett were there, armed with the app.
Yeah,
I think
the app that we didn't have.
yeah, we'd still be somewhere. We'd probably ended up at Shinjuku or something if we hadn't
I think that's a generation
tagged
gap.
along with them.
We were looking for the paper map and they were using the phones.
Getting that for everything these days. Yeah, so thanks to Luchka and Slovenian coaches and Yanya for navigating us through the subway. Trying to navigate her way through this slab now, and she's already been up to the zone. Once again gets it. You can see the right leg just quivering with the effort of staying there. I like this boulder. Again, it's a boulder where every position you get in seems to be relatively okay to hold, but they're very difficult to leave.
See how much the hands are shaking in each of those positions.
It's not really exertion as such, is it? I'll resume in just a second. Fanny Gibert looking pretty handy here on number 1. Is Fanny Gibert just... Somebody's going to have to trust that left foot, you fear, because launching for the top just... It looks so far. We'll see. Will someone trust it?
I think that left foot only comes into use if you keep the hand sequence as you would expect. Left hand where it is, cross over with the right hand. That's when the left foot becomes quite good. See how slopey that crimp is though.
Fanny again choosing to bump up with the left hand, not crossing through. Can she get anything out of that foothold? I think she's going to launch from there. She got both hands on the top. Remember, she's got to stay there. So that was close from Fanny, and another climber holding their lower back. Minute and a half left. This is a replay of Fanny when she did the jump. I know, one of the unsuccessful attempts. Yeah, that was a replay. She is down on the mats right now. Here's Luchka, we're live again.
Interesting, the flexibility to get the right toe all the way up to the top red foothold this time rather than having that for her left foot. So it looks like she's just going to try something slightly different.
It's the kind of move where climbers of a more senior vintage grab their foot with their spare hand and lever it onto the hole, but Luchka just able to do it. Is this the successful one from Fanny? Yes. Okay, so the left hand actually cut loose, but she obviously got the right hand absolutely spot on.
Yeah, as you can see, she's sort of toe clawing around the left hand side of that. That's where the good bit is. Well, good bit is a bit of an overstatement. That's where the better bit is compared to the top. But, nobody's successfully put any weight on that hold yet, and that's a really nice move there. Jumping across, the way that left hand releases.
Good example of the micro details of route setting. If they'd made that low left foothold a tiny bit better, we might have seen 5 or 6 tops by now. As it is, we haven't seen any because no one's really committed to using it. And I wonder if Fanny Gibert is going to have a go. She's not, because the right foot slips.
Well, even though that wasn't successful, that was really good from Fanny there, actually committing to holding that bottom crimp. Give it absolutely everything, even though you really don't want to hold it. Just try it anyway, and actually manage to statically cross over.
Futaba Ito now begins her semi-final. Nanako Kura is back out, Chen Su is back out, Laura Agora is back out. Five minutes begins again, the wall is full. Here's Laura on number 4. Had a really good go on number 3. Didn't like the first 2 at all. But did secure a zone on number 3. Who knows where 2 zones could leave her, given the fierceness of these boulders. Here's Nanako on number 2. Apologies if you can hear some clicks, by the way. We're in our commentary positions where the press area is, and there's I'm looking around, there must be a dozen local photographers all clicking away on enormous cameras, so apologies if you can hear a bit of clicking. Sort of nervous tick.
Spray of the photographers.
Every time there's a big move, you just hear this spray of flicks.
1,000 frames a second going off near us. It's safe to say there's big fans of bouldering in this region of Japan.
100 bouldering gyms in this city alone in Tokyo. Nanako Kura trains at one of them.
The right foot really well established on that big right hand foothold low down. not shaking too much through the body as well, so there's a good positioning. Oh, what a save!
Oh, save of the day so far, and manages to get the foot swap done. The right thumb landed, it missed, it went off again, it came back on. Incredible stuff from Nanako Kura, and we could be about to see the second top of boulder number 2. It's still the only boulder that's been topped. Her compatriot for Tabarito has got the jump done over on number 1. What can Nanako do? If she was to drop it here, it'd be so disappointing after such a tenuous save. She pulls it off. Top for her. That boulder's been topped twice, and Nanako Kura joins Evgenia Kaspakova as having a top in a brutally tough women's semi-final. And as if that wasn't enough, she earns herself an extra 2.5 minutes rest. And given what's coming up, that could come in very handy.
That was brilliant. Really heart in the mouth moment there, where she's just itching along there.
Oh, let's have another look at this.
Save. Left foot just drags on the underside of the
1,
body.
2, and then didn't really use it, just kind of palmed off it. Absolutely amazing. Amazing accuracy to get the palm on it and push off. Fantastic stuff. We'll talk about a well-earned top.
Yeah, she really fell up that move going across.
Without wanting to denigrate her slab climbing abilities, I suspect she might not have managed to get back up onto that final foothold, so it's a good job she brought it home.
But what was really good about that as well, she didn't let the moment get to her on the last move. Everybody was here, was watching her. I see the Japanese fans here, there's a good few thousand of them in here, and yeah, it was a big moment, and that's potentially got her a finals position.
So Cheon-Seo, 2-time lead World Cup winner, what can she do on the boulders? Boulder 3 here in Hachioji, just got her foot a bit too close in front of her and it just spat her off. For Tabarito, by the way, here she is on number 1. She's already been across to the zone. Got that on her 4th attempt, so burned a few goes getting there. And now seems to have the jump sorted. Gives you that's a bit of a better angle to understand that the wall is ever so slightly overhanging here. So you just can't quite get happy on those feet. There's no real way of releasing the tension in the arms. They're pretty much engaged no matter what position you find yourself in.
Trying something slightly different here, under-wrapping the hold that we've seen a lot of other climbers do it with the left hand. She has it with her right hand, and she's trying to wiggle a knee bar into that groove.
Done really well there. Actually, the knee looked like it was made for it. I'm not sure how much purchase she was getting off it, but it certainly fit well. 25 seconds for these climbers now. Cheon-Seo, I think, possibly optimistic going again from there, or had already secured the zone.
Yeah, she looked a bit powered out after she kind of got that zone on the last attempt. She went for that sort of foot swap. It ended up being pretty baggy and kind of flopped off the wall.
It's not flashing up that she's been awarded the zone yet, but I'm pretty sure she had it.
Yeah, she definitely had it.
Okay, 2016 World Champion Petra Klingler. She had her title taken away from her in 2018 of Boulder World Champion by Janja Garnbret. She's back in Hachioji to reclaim it, and she is underway in the semi-final. Fanny Gibert's back out. Luchka Rakovic is climbing again, and Kyra Condi is attempting her 4th and final boulder on the far left-hand side of the stage. Third to last climber, Petra, and we'll have Akio Noguchi and Janja Garnbret. First attempt is, I'm pretty sure, for Petra. Oh, not far off, actually. It was a pretty good first attempt.
Yeah, it would be very impressive for a climber to flash that boulder or that first move. So much going on with the feet and the hands and the hand positions. A few years ago, we may have seen a foot sequence very similar at the bottom of the wall, but it would have been to a big jug or something like that. But now you've got hand coordination along with foot coordination, all in the same move.
And heading for a pretty ropey hold. So Luchka going, for that really powerful method out left. Both methods are pretty powerful, actually. When Shauna Coxey was working up the right-hand side of that volume, it didn't look particularly easy either. I wonder if going out with the left on that women's 3 might be better, though, because you don't end up too high. You then don't have to step back down, perhaps.
Yeah, think it's going to be really hard to establish into the undercut if you go too low with your feet too early. So yeah, we've not seen anybody up there to prove us right or wrong yet, really, unfortunately. Petra sticks the moves just out of shot on women's number 1. Fanny, another climber along with Evgenia Kazbekova, is really known for her slab climbing ability. See if she can enjoy women's number 2 at all.
Yeah, she wasn't far off on number 1, Fanny Gibert. Oh, but the right hand came off. You can see even the movement of her right hand slightly off the wall nearly cost her. But Petra Klingler's got herself in an amazing position here on number 1. We've seen a few climbers get this far. We haven't seen anyone top the boulder yet. Oh, and we won't get much closer than that. Petra got 2 good hands on the top. Never really looked like she was going to stay there, but she'll be encouraged by that. Let's have another look. The right hand landed just before the left.
It's almost like a slopey, flat jug that with the right hand side is really sort of curved in the way that the hold has been shaped, which means it's quite hard to get anything out of your right hand, and you're coming from the right hand side. And not only that, but that move requires full kind of commitment up there, really. I think it feels high, feels a bit scary, and you don't really want to jump for it, but you're in the World Championship semi-final. If you're up there, you're going to go for it.
I think it's the kind of hold that if climbers at this level could go for it slowly, they'd latch no problem. It's a reason. I don't want to describe it as a good hold. It's reasonable. But yeah, as you say, the right-hand side, not got much on it. And that's the side you're going for, really. So here's Lutska again, choosing to spread the arms wide. Could do a secure in the zone, and does so. Now, can you risk? No, you can't risk swinging the feet from there.
Really using, we've seen that with Laura Agora as well, just sort of tucking the left leg into the underside of that volume slightly. This is better. That's the method that the route has described to us would be the best way to go about it. Getting that as an undercut, that volume, and pushing the weight across through the feet and matching it.
So Fanny not finding a way. Been top twice now. Nanako Kura, she got it done first go, by the way, Nanako Kura, and Evgenia Kazbekova got it done second go. The other 3 boulders in this final yet to be topped. Petra Klingler, no problem at all now with the jump out right. And perhaps slightly rushed things there, I think.
Yeah, that's a classic example of when a climber gets nerves because they know they can do the boulder and you get this massive shot of adrenaline and you forget to do the basics right and only concentrating on the hard bit at the top.
So Fanny Gibert's back on the wall, Kyra Condi's back on the wall, Petra Klingler's back on the wall. I think I'm sticking with Fanny now. Kyra's off, Petra's off. Lutska's just pulled back on, and she's fallen as well. So Fanny Gibert, the only climber currently on the stage, got 15 seconds to go, and it's not far from there, but I still don't think that's long enough given how tenuous the body positions are and how careful you have to be. She'll have to move quite quickly here, Fanny. She's got 4 seconds left. And will be so frustrated. That is time up. Ah, that's a shame for Fanny Gibert. Finally got in the position. I think if she'd had 15, 20 seconds left, she could have just established herself, taken a deep breath and figured out a way. But as it is, she runs out of time. Akio Noguchi is now out on the stage. Taba Ito's back out, Nanako Kura's back out. We've got 3 out of 4 climbers Japanese, and Cheon-su as close as she will get this year to a home competition, hails from relatively nearby South Korea. So what can Akio do? Second to last climber out, Akio. Yanya Garnbrett still to come.
Say boulders 3 and 4, we're not seeing anybody anywhere near a top on those boulders yet, especially number 4. Boulders number 1 and 2 have either been topped or been very close. It's good from Futaba.
Really strong stuff from Futaba.
Oh, completely hands-free there. Gives you an idea of how bad that thumb catch actually is, doesn't even use it.
Oh, and does really well to get stood up. Glad she took her chalk bag. She's able to get both hands off. This is what Fanny Gibert wanted. Just wanted a bit of time to get herself established. I think we could be about to see a top here for Futaba Ito, gunning for the 3rd top of women's 2. Oh, and she won't get much closer than that.
sure some people would have got some good photos of that emotion as she came off the wall there. You see, just as she pushed up, so hopefully we have another look. Look how she arches and she just comes away from the wall slightly. She struggles to put the power down through the right toe because it's so bad. Just as she goes up, she doesn't have this sort of stiffness through the right hand side of the body to push into that undercut. Sort of spine went a bit baggy as she went up to the top, and you really need to be solid and power into the underside of that volume.
Shuffling up the canoe and spine went baggy. There we go. There's 2 new ones for the record books.
Nobody likes a baggy spine.
Nothing worse.
Could be a band name.
They're big in Japan.
The baggy spines.
Futaba now trying again on number 2. She'll be so frustrated because these moves are that tenuous. The fact you've done them once doesn't mean you're going to be able to do them again. She will be desperate to get back up to the position she was in and just execute that top move slightly better. Does well. I think the right hand actually came loose for just a second there. Kunaguchi, by the way, has done the jump and is up to the zone on number 1. Other 2 climbers are Nanako Kura and Church Surt, still down on the mats. So Futaba again got herself in a very good position. Does the top beckon. This time it's the right foot that gives. Here's Akio Noguchi on the penultimate hold, just trying to figure out what to do. A lot of effort going into this. You can see a grimace, as close as we see to a grimace from Akio Noguchi. She won here in this very same arena here in Hachioji just over a year ago in the Boulder World Cup. This time she's back for a Boulder World Championship. What can she do? Can she trust that left foot? Can she find a way to launch? She can't.
Yeah, that sequence of holds currently has not worked for the roots headers. Still,
I think they might be slightly. I think if they had their time again, they might make that foothold 10% better. Found something ever so slightly better, because I'm just looking at how many people have had a zone, and pretty much everyone that's had a zone's then had a bit of a look at the top, and about half the climbers so far have had a zone. If they just made it a tiny bit better, perhaps we might have seen 1 or 2 tops out of those 10 climbers. But these are the micro judgments you have to make.
Yeah, I did ask head route sitter here, Manuel Hasler, where that boulder fit into the difficulty of the tour. He said it's sort of, he felt at that time, middle of the range, doable but pretty hard. And yeah, it hasn't played out like that just yet, but we have seen a number of climbers get really close to, 2 or 3 climbers have had both hands on the top hold but haven't stuck it. So yeah, like I say, that's the micro judgments of route setting. The foothold could just be 1 or 2 millimeters twisted, and it could be a completely different story. Yeah, this competition at the moment, the odds at top, but it's coming down to number of zones at the moment to get you into elusive World Championships finals.
So under 10 seconds to go now for Futaba Ito. Final attempt at this move. And again, she cannot make it work. That's 3 Heartbreak Hotel finishes for Futaba Ito. First one looked very like that. Second one, the right foot slips. And then third one, you can see for yourself.
Yeah, this move is all about the right foot. See, as she goes up to it, actually, she's just twisting slightly as well. Got to go up to it quite fast. You can't go slow. In the process, she's just rotating slightly around on that foothold, and it's the rotation that made her fall off in the end.
Here comes Janja Garnbret, climbing last. She's the last climber to attempt number 1. We'd love to see a top of it if at all possible. Wouldn't mind who it comes from, but it can only now come from Janja Garnbret if it's going to come at all.
She actually used the right foot off the middle of the wall there, because a massive spin off the wall. It was more what you expect to see in a skating movie rather than a fall off a bouldering wall there for Janja.
So the 2016 World Champion is climbing next to the 2018 Boulder World Champion. Petra Klingler on the left, Janja Garnbret on the right. Janja, like Akio, has also won a World Cup right here in this arena here in Hachioji. She won in 2017. She's won every Boulder World Cup in 2019. Let's stick with Petra on the slab. Had a really good look at number 1. Janja Garnbret's got the jump done on number 1, by the way. There she is. She didn't get it first go.
Yeah, she's the only climber to successfully do it off the right foot in the middle of the wall as well, rather than the big step through method. So it shows she's got bags of power at the moment at the bottom of the wall. Another climber who's just struggling to get the right hand up into the zone slot there. Does it off the left hand with the left foot. Different sequence altogether.
She's got herself pretty high up here, Janja Garnbret, but it's a very powerful position to hang on to. You're just pulling sideways off that zone. Got the penultimate hold lined up. Could we see a top on number 1? The magician Janja Garnbret. What can she produce here in this semi-final? Oh, she can almost produce a top. Hit the deck pretty hard there, I think. Interesting one there. Something with the right eye socket. But anyway, Mike, talk us through that.
Yeah, so jumped mostly off the first 2 volumes. That was her very first attempt, but she did actually secure that jump successfully in the same method. There we go. So mostly pouncing off the starting footholds, just tapping through on the right foot on the black. Let's have a look at this fall.
Yeah, it was really awkward looking fall. Talk about full commitment. I think she might actually have hit her knee.
Yeah, I think she did.
Landed.
Yeah, I agree with you there, Charlie. I think she just knee in the face.
Skiers will be familiar with that one, as you've kneeing yourself in the face is particularly painful. Just keep an eye on Janja. She isn't holding her eye socket or anything, doesn't seem too troubled. Petra, the only climber off the ground right now, she's climbing on number 2. I'd love to see a top of women's 1. It's always a shame when a boulder goes on top. Janja's pulling back on.
It's going to be really interesting. That was kind of a bit of an idea of Janja's sort of mettle. If she goes up there and tries that finish moving exactly the same way, the fear of kneeing yourself in the face again is obviously quite high. So let's see if she uses a different method as Petra, looking really solid and controlled across this slab.
So the 2 world champions who are currently climbing next to each other are both at pretty much equal height on the wall. Janja's just fallen, by the way. I wonder if she was slightly shaken up by that. As I say, skiers will know it. I've managed to do it to myself a few times, where you land on the compression of something, and as you fall, your knee fires up and hits you in the face. It kind of gives you such a fright, makes you feel a bit shaky. Really not what you need on a World Championship boulder, but she's already secured the zone, Janja, which is the best anyone's done on that boulder, so she wouldn't be by any means getting left behind if she wasn't to top it, but it would be nice for us to see it. Here's Luchka.
Yeah, women's 4, no real action on that at all yet.
Yeah, we've seen, just having a look how many zones have been awarded on that. Just 1 actually. Miho Nanaka with the only zone, let alone a top. So here goes Janja. I think time-wise this could be it. Might have time for another go. I think this will probably be the one for Janja Garnbret. 25 seconds left. Can she trust that left foot? Janja Garnbret always pulls something special out the bag, and she's done that on Boulder 1 here in the World Championships in Hachioji. Had to work for that one, only had 15 seconds to go, but she finds a top. The boulder is topped, and it's the reigning world champion, the reigning World Cup champion in boulder, Janja Garnbret, who finds it.
Yeah, that's really good. The second climber to only commit to crossing over on those 2 edges. We were just saying beforehand.
This is a replay of Janja, by the way.
Whether the route setters are just it's got the left hand of those 2 crimps just a bit too poor. She used the same method every time through the bottom section, and then absolutely committed to crimping the absolute living daylights of that bottom crimp. Got the body position really nice, just tucked it right into the volume. You can see here, just pulls really close into the wall. Just commits to slowly go over there. You can see her pulling right in, brings the hips right into the wall, and at that point that left foot comes good. Still wasn't completely over there. It was very close to falling off that last move as well.
Must have been your advice on the Metro this morning, Mike. I think it's.
Yeah. She always listens to my coaching.
I could see you giving her a few pointers. I think she had her earphones in at the time, but I'm sure some of it went in. Here's Futaba on number 3. And this is Akio on number 2. Yeah, Janja Garnbret already separating herself from the field. I mean, she's only the 3rd climber with the top. I think, to be honest, if she doesn't get off the floor on the rest of the boulders, I think she'll probably be in the final anyway. It's such a tough round, but yeah, already put everyone else under big pressure. Here, trying a slightly different method, dropping the left hand back down low on number 2. All 3 climbers, all 3 Japanese climbers, Futaba Ito, Nanako Okura and Kyo Noguchi, who are currently looking at on the mats. Now Futaba's underway, Nanako's just pulled on the far side as well. You can see there Janja Garnbret, she's only attempted 1 boulder and she's in 3rd place. Work to be done for the other climbers still going though. Futaba being watched very closely, I should add, by Akio Noguchi. Akio clever enough to know that a bit of useful information to be had if she just studies what Futaba's doing. Futaba having to work hard here and just not figuring out what to do with the hands.
Yeah, crossing into that is a really bad undercut to cross into that. You have to get the body position just right, and I think ultimately no matter how well you place the feet, the handhold is just not good enough. You're going to have to try something a bit different up there. Coming into it as an undercut.
That was brilliant stuff. You couldn't see it on camera, but we're lucky along the stage here. And Akio Noguchi obviously thought, you know what, it's worth me burning 30 seconds of a time just to watch this, and just stood and watched Futaba. Got a bit of information about Boulder 3. Canny stuff from Akio, who's now back on number 2. This has been a nicely set boulder, this. 2 tops. Futaba Ito maybe should have had a top, got really close to it 3 times and was millimeters away on 2 of those occasions. But really, that shot there tells you a lot about this round. Very, very good climbers standing on the mats, looking up and wondering what to do. I have to say, Mike, when we were down on the mats, it was really hard to gauge. For a start, well, I don't want to speak for you, but I certainly don't climb at this level. I suspect you'd be on the mat rather than in the commentary box if you did.
Well,
but they didn't
have a change of sex for that.
but they didn't look a set of boulders where we'd get this set of results. They look hard but doable.
Yeah, I do think every time we did look up, instant sort of like, God, they just look so hard. And I'm not sure if that's because
I thought
kind of straight off the plane and retired. And
yeah, maybe. But I felt number 4 looked a little more doable than it's proved to be. It just makes you realise you can read so little from standing on the mat versus actually pulling on. I was a bit conscious that I don't want to touch the holds or get them dirty or anything, but so we basically just look at the boulders and talk about the boulders with the route setters, but they all looked more toppable than they've looked now the climbs have been unleashed, is what I mean. I suspect it'd be a hard round, but it's looked particularly hard.
Yeah, 6th, 5th and 4th positions, all with no tops getting you into the finals at the moment. Futaba, Alana, Shauna, Miho tie at 6th place at the moment, all into the final with just zones. So very, very similar to what we saw in Munich earlier on in May. Again, up there with the slab climb again. It's like an instant replay of May all over again. With Nanako Okura throwing a spanner in the works, currently at the top of the list with 1 top and 2 zones.
Yeah, Nanako Okura looking pretty handy, you would suspect, for a finals place. I'm just looking, in fact she's already in. The way the results have gone. So Nanako Okura, our first confirmed finalist right now. So what can Janja do on number 2? Already top number 1, the only climber to get the job done on number 1. Petra Klingler's climbing now on number 3. Fanny Gibert is climbing on number 4. Nothing yet for Janja. Fanny now, this is her on number 4, so it's an odd start position. We mentioned it right at the start of the broadcast. I haven't seen that much of it, but the climbers have got to get all 3 limbs of their choosing on the red hold, and then 1 over on the right on the yellow hold. You can see there the 4 bits of tape denoting the start position. It's up to you which 2 limbs you put on the right hand and which 2 on the left. Hard to imagine there'd be any other way of doing it than how Petra did it, but it is up to you. And she's underway. Janja's already had a good go on number 2, but no top. As I say, the way the scores are working out, Janja's actually got a zone. I'm pretty sure she's already in the final, or pretty pretty much guaranteed a place in the final, no matter what she does from now on.
Yeah, absolutely. But with such a low-scoring round, if anybody comes out and has one good boulder, they're going to get into the final. It proves that you should never give up on a tour of boulders, even if you're really struggling on boulders 1, 2, and 3. A quick top at the end would get you in. Or in Evgenia's case, just do really well on a slab, and you're in the final again.
Yeah, in second place right now, Evgenia. I think looking pretty likely for a final spot. We've still got 5 climbers, including Fanny Gibert, to finish their rotation. Right now, Fanny down in 8th. If she could get a zone here, she'd have 4 zones. It'd bump her up into 4th place.
Well, it's the same with Petra. Just 2 zones to her name at the moment, but with the top, she'll go straight into the top of the pack. Fanny just going for the campus rotation. They're unsuccessfully, unfortunately. That's the method that we've seen most success with here on women's number 3 with Petra, going low to the sort of rounded blob screw-on that's more of a foothold shape than a handhold, and just goes for a cross-through method there, clearly coming up with no answers to the route setter's questions there.
Yeah, I don't think that's the way to do it, to cross through there. You're not really crossing through to anything, and even if you manage to hang on to the position, you wouldn't really be able to extract yourself from it. Here's Janja, 150 to go, already got the zone on this one. Just never looked happy with that foot swap. I wonder how much she'll give that slab, to be honest. I wonder whether she might not risk too much.
Yeah, if she's wide sitting back there, she's going to know that all climbers are coming back after the full rotation of time rather than really quickly, and not much clapping and cheering from the crowd. So I think she's probably well aware that there's not many tops in this round. So with a perfect start, obviously the top for her on number 1, doesn't really need to waste herself going through and trying to sort of go hell for leather on every single boulder.
Janja's wily enough to know if it comes down to countback. I know it's much rarer that it comes down to countback in bouldering, but if you can choose, you might as well finish top of the round. But we'll see. Futaba Ito and Alana Yip currently, by the way, looking a bit nervous, although Futaba's got a chance to do something about it. She's still got number 4 to attempt.
This is what Shauna tried. This is what Janja's done. So getting into that position is good, but getting out of it.
See, surely when you bring the right, well, where does the left foot go when the right foot's coming up? And also, how do you keep your hips in as you're bringing the right foot through? I think we're about to find out what she's got in mind.
No idea what she's holding on to there with the left hand. That was insane.
Completely different method from Janja. It was beyond even her quite extraordinary abilities to find a way that way. Fanny Gibert will be absolutely gutted with this outcome. She's had a season of she nearly won in Munich, amongst others, and looked very disappointed to come to Hachioji, and she is not going to make the final. Right now, by the way, we've got a tie in 6th place. We talked about how important it is to get a rank in the route setters. The officials, everyone watching on, will not be keen for a tie, but right now Futaba Ito in 6th place is tied with Alana Yip. But if Futaba could get a zone here, it would remove the tie, or if one of the climbers who still haven't finished their rotation was to move into the top 6, it would also move both of them out. But just to let you know, right now, as it stands, we do have a tie in 6th place. So here goes Futaba. If she can get this, it'll be 4 zones on 4 boulders. Oh, not far off. Again, don't think the judges will give her that one, but she knows what it feels like now, knows where the sweet spot of the hold is, got a little bit more information. Remember, the climbers can't touch holds other than the starting holds from the floor, so she can't, even though she might actually be able to reach that hold for Futaba, she's not allowed to touch it.
Keo looking massively comfortable on the bottom section of this boulder. This is the section of this boulder that's been successful or not for the climbers.
Yeah, this release here and which hand you go with seems to have been the crux that stopped just about everybody, but Akio's quite extraordinary ability to move her body and read every micro movement and translate it into action could come in handy up there. So we still actually stand a chance of all the boulders being topped, believe it or not. Number 1's been topped, number 2's been topped. We've got climbers still attempting 3 and 4, so don't give up hope to see a top on the remaining boulders. For Tabo, the feet just cutting a bit too loose there. The left foot's coming out behind her, just peeling her away.
Yeah, big rotation. We talked about that move a little bit already, but as you fire up off that right hand, you've really got to get a bit of leg momentum going as well to get the height. Classic ninja kick, leg flick on the left-hand side. Pile up as you hit that slopey volume, the zone volume, body's still rotating quite a lot. So unless you've got insane amount of energy in your right arm, or power I should say, more than energy, to kind of levitate onto that volume, you're going to be going to it with quite a bit of rotation in the body.
So 2.5 minutes left. For the last woman to win a Boulder World Cup in this arena in Hachioji, Kyo Noguchi, she won here last year. She rampaged her way through our Asian tour last year. Here she goes again. So already secured the zone. You can see there's a 3-way tie now for 6th place. Akio has joined it. This is a route setter's nightmare. Can she find a way on number 3? Does really well there, Akio Noguchi. I think we could be about to see our first top of number 3. It's a pretty good hold she's going for. Just needs to figure out what to do with the feet. The left hand lands. Right hand goes across to join it. Kyo Noguchi, the magician, comes up with something special here in Hachioji. There have been times where it's looked like she hasn't enjoyed climbing in front of a home crowd, but she's enjoying it today. Finds a top on number 3, and that means that 3 out of 4 boulders have been top. Mike, she looked good on this boulder from her first attempt, and each one got better after that.
Yeah, that was exactly what I was about to say. The first time that she pulled on, she had the sequence down. She was just a little bit questioning whether to go into that top canoe as an undercut or as a shoulder, and the second time around she sat on the mat, thought about it, thought what she needed to do, just pushed really hard on the right hand just to bring the body across, match that underside of the undercut canoe and just hit the next pocket, realised it was rubbish, went again, positioned the feet. That was an execution of route reading and just sitting down on the mat and thinking about what you're about to do.
Now I wonder, that was interesting for Futaba Ito, because if she'd been awarded that zone, she'd have moved up into the provisional top 6. As it is, she's outside the provisional top 6, and she got a really good hand on it that time. I don't think quite good enough to be given the zone, but it was about the same as that. There's an element of judgment. I don't think the judges will give that to her, but there's a place in the final riding on it. I wonder if we might see an appeal from the Japanese team.
Yeah,
I don't think she should be awarded it, but it's so close. She's on it a long time.
Let's have another look at this, but I think if the definition of control is that you could, in theory, make the next possible move.
Yeah, I know what you mean, but I'm just saying it's there's an element of judgment and a place in the final riding on it.
I think they would appeal. Yeah, I think they will.
So, yeah, this was it. Now, is she controlling or using that hold? I mean, she's still on it for a while. We're watching it in slow motion. Anyway, there's a judgment to be made, is all I'm saying, and there's a lot riding on that judgment. So, Janja Garnbret, just looking, actually not guaranteed. Oh, she is actually guaranteed her place in the final already, believe it or not. I'm pretty sure. If my just lucky, Kyo Noguchi, by the way, has moved up into first place. 1 top and 3 zones for her. This was the boulder that she got the job done on. If Janja could find a way on this women's 3, she'd be the first climber with 2 tops, and she's absolutely cruising it so far. This move here, though, getting onto this second canoe's proved problematic. Although if your shoulders are that strong, it doesn't look that problematic. And manages to match, and Janja Garnbret absolutely crushing this 3rd boulder. Just needs to get the feet sorted. Looking super strong here though. Janja might just launch from there, gets the left hand, stabs the left foot out, goes with the right hand. That's why she's the best in the world.
Absolutely dominated that boulder. I mean, Akio did really well on it and climbed it with perfection, but Janja climbed it in the way that she does, which is constantly moving, constantly making adjustments and going to holds with full commitment even though there's a high risk of falling off. The way that she touched the pocket, didn't like it, and then just decided just to go for that finish hold, full span.
Quite incredible, really. You look at the lineup in this women's semi-final. It's a strong semi-final. We didn't have many really big upsets in the qualifiers. All the women made it through. Janja Garnbret's just flashed this boulder, which has stopped in their tracks some of the strongest climbers in the world. Absolutely incredible. Here's the champion from Paris, Petra Klingler.
Yeah, this women's competition is really heating up to be a big battle here between Akia, who's obviously going to be the locals' favourite, and the woman who's completely dominated the season, Janja, and I think there's going to be a really nice storyline going forward into the finals tonight between those two.
Yeah, Meiring in 2018 was the last time Janja entered a World Cup or World Championship in Boulder and didn't win. And she's the strong favourite here in Hachioji, but Akio's looking in great form. Petra finds herself in a bit of a tricky position now. It must be hard to suddenly find yourself alone on the stage and still be cool enough to measure your energy, not rush, do what's right for you. Lot riding on this as well, by the way, because if she could get it, she'd have 4 zones and she'd get into the final.
Yeah, Shauna Coxey currently in the danger zone at the moment, sitting in 6th place. Yeah, those 3 zones in 6 attempts.
This is really the key, actually, because if Petra cannot get this done, or can't get a zone, I should say, then she is not in the final, and the final places are already decided because Akio and Janja, who are the only climbers still to complete their rotation, would be are already in. So this is massive for Petra Klingler. This is for a place in the final. See just how hard she's having to work. Every move looks at the limit, and she's getting a good hand on that zone.
She's looking really powered out on those. She's starting to look slightly upset that she's not going to make the finals there, I think. Looking at every single move through that lower section. It's a bit of a brutal way of finishing the round from the route setter's perspective. Put them in the steepest, most overhanging, no footholds, just power and power, power to finish the round. It's a real judgment who's got the most left, rather than who's got the technique at the end there.
Yeah, as I say, this is literally the place in the final riding on it, because if she could get it, she'd have 4 zones, she'd move up into 5th. If she can't get it, she'll stay in 10th with 3 zones. And as you said, Mike, looked like she was getting slightly upset. I'm not sure she believes she can do this move. She's got to try and convince herself, and that's one thing, but she's then actually got to pull it off. You can hear now the Swiss team yelling to Petra. This attempt looks a lot more controlled. There's a huge amount riding on this next move. Petra Klingler lining it up for a place in the final. Can't find a way and looks absolutely heartbroken. She's, I just don't think, got time for another serious attempt. Time ticks away. And that is it for Petra Klingler. There was so much riding on that one move. She's been training hard, she's been focusing on the World Championships, and she cannot find a way into the final.
So touch and go. This game is 3 zones, goes from 5th place all the way down to 10th place, but just the number of attempts to get to those zones is what is separating them. It's a brutal way to not go into the finals, just attempts to zones. That is how hard this semi-final round is, though.
So Akina Gucci and Janja Garnbret, who are the 2 climbers still to come out, are already guaranteed their place in the final. That means we know who our top 6 are. I should put a disclaimer on that if there is an appeal from Futaba Ito. I suspect there may not be an appeal, and if there is, it may not be successful. But if the scores stay as they are, it'll be Janja Garnbret in 1st, Akina Gucci in 2nd, Nanako Kura in 3rd, Evgenia Kazbekova in 4th, Miho Nanaka 5th, and Shauna Coxey in 6th. They will be the 6 climbers through to the final. Shauna Coxey, as you mentioned, Mike, and Miho Nanaka through into the final with 3 zones and no tops. What a brutal round this has been.
The only piece of the puzzle left for us fans is, will we see a top on number 4?
It would be great if we could. Want to see every boulder topped at least once, especially because the top of this looked pretty entertaining. Oh, and Akio did so well there, almost touched her right shoulder with the left heel. Incredible flexibility. by far the best attempt we've seen from anyone on this boulder. Comfortably the best attempt we've seen from anyone on this boulder. Kiyo Noguchi now lining it up for the top. And there it is, all 4 boulders topped in the semi-final. Kiyo Noguchi's done 2 of them. 2 tops, 4 zones, sees her safely through. She's into the lead as it stands. Yanya Garnbrett still to come, but Kiyo Noguchi flashes the 4th boulder, which has stopped some of the strongest climbers dead. Mike, already at this very early stage, I've already talked about the stupidity of making predictions, but let's make one now. This looks to be a battle between Yanya and Akiyo.
Yeah, let's have another look at Akiyo this, because it proves, you know, she is a veteran of the game. She's an absolute master of movement, but not only that, she's clearly a level above the rest of the field at the moment, alongside Yanya. It's the contact strength and the ability to hold the swing as she hits that zone hold was quite phenomenal. And just instantly she's looking like right up there. Akiyo at her very best. This is the move. Watch the left leg, little flick just to get the momentum. Hits that big rotation. Right, left heel touches her back of her right hip. Such was the rotation. At this point here, we saw Miho's the only one to get to this point. She did it with a heel. Akiyo just powers off the right toe. Just quick pounce 1-2 between those 2 side pulls, and at that point there was no mistakes to be made. Kiyo Noguchi looks in very fine form, and as we said just a couple of boulders ago, the fight between Yanya and Akiyo is going to be fascinating here. And what's going to be great from us as a spectator's point of view, we get to see Yanya on this boulder next, and we get to see what she makes of it.
Yeah, there are the results as they stand. Yanya Garnbrett down in 2nd place, hasn't finished her rotation. She can move herself up into 1st with a quick zone or a top, which firmly move her into 1st place. But she'll be joined, those 2 will be joined in the final by Nanako Okura, Evgenia Kazbekova, Miho Nanaka and Shauna Coxey. A fascinating final that looks like it could be for Taba Ito, Alana Yip, Fanny Gibert and Patrick Klingler. All would have been hoping for more and all managed to get 3 zones, but it wasn't enough, came down to attempts. And a bit lower down the order. Disappointed day for Kyra Condi amongst others, and Luce Duardi, the French climber. Her day will come. It wasn't today here in Hachioji, but watch out for her in the future. Very, very hard women's semi-final here, but Mike, we were about to talk about Yanya Garnbrett. Remember, the 5-minute rotation has to finish. It's not like a final climber can't come out, so we've got 1 minute until Yanya comes out. We will talk about Yanya, but have you ever known Akiyo Noguchi to look off form, to look injured, to look tired, to look unmotivated?
That's what's
it's a decade of,
so phenomenal
of
about
this
her. Like,
level.
there's not many athletes at the very top of their sport who are in their 30s as a whole.
Yeah.
You know, there's maybe boxing or something like that, where the older you get, the better you get somehow. But she is just incredible, and like I say, she's made out of something very different to most humans. I think just like barely gets injured, barely looks off form, barely looks nervous. Always has something to offer, and seemingly just getting better and better and better year on year. The pressure here on Akiyo is huge. You know, she's a celebrity around here, and she's got all these fans watching her, and they've been entertained. And it's going to be fascinating for us to see this lady Yanya and Akiyo go head to head tonight.
Kiyo Noguchi entered her first Boulder World Championship in 2005, and here she is. It is absolutely breathtaking longevity. It's one thing to be great for a season or 2, and we've seen climbers come and have a couple of good years. But Kiyo Noguchi has been doing it for over a decade. She won her first World Cup more than a decade ago.
Well, just to put that in perspective, as Yanya pulls on, there's 2 climbers in this final who were born in 2003. Oh, Yanya, that was amazing through there, campusing. There's a quick campus rotation where others have really struggled. Yanya just fumbled the zone hold slightly there. She was easily had the height, but just I think she just stubbed her fingers on the end of the volume rather than missing it. Let's have another look. Just quickly loads it. Actually goes off the left foot rather than what we saw from Akiyo on that lower right foot.
As I said, we don't get, because there's 4 ways of separating the climbers, you don't tend to get that many ties, and countback doesn't generally come in quite as often in bouldering as it does in lead. But we have had quite a lot of ties in this semi-final. Futaba Ito and Alana Yip are tied. A lot of climbers on 3 zones, and it's coming down to attempts. Yanya could really do with going into the final in first place. It would take one element of stress out of things, because if the boulders were easy and everybody flashed them in the final, who knows, but she could, as I say, could certainly do with getting through in first. So safely up to the zone for Janja. I actually think that might be enough for her, but let's stick with it. Up with the left hand. You'd have thought she'll bring it home from here. Can Janja Garnbret give us the fairy tale end to the semi-final? Goes up with the left hand, up with the right. Well, it looked like a savagely hard semi-final. It was a savagely hard semi-final, but Janja Garnbret managed to find 3 tops seemingly from nowhere when we were wondering if some of the boulders would even get topped. In fact, the only one she didn't do was number 2, which saw a couple of tops.
Interesting method through the bottom there. The first attempt she went off the left foot down low, that time she went off the right foot. It was the very second move that was the most impressive. Most of the female athletes smearing on the wall to use a bit of power off their feet to rotate up to the zone hole, but Janja just camped it, no issues whatsoever. If you were to pick a stronger climber between Janja and Hachioji there on that last boulder, it would be hard to say.
There we can see it, the results are in. Janja Garnbret goes through in first place, as she did from the qualifiers. Joining her in this evening's final will be Akio Noguchi, Nanako Kura, Evgenia Kazbekova, Miho Nanaka and Shauna Coxey. What a final that is. 4 of those climbers have won Boulder World Cup season titles. And then we've got 2 bolters, if you like, in Evgenia Kazbekova and Nanako Kura. It could be an absolute classic here in Hachioji this evening for Tabea Ito, Lana Yip, Fanny Gibert and Petra Klingler. Narrowly miss out. Yutong Zhang, Luchka Rakovic, Cheon Sir, Kyra Kondi and Sophie Koller, Urska Rapusic, Mia Krampel, Sofia Yokoyama, Laura Gora and Luce Duardi, the remainder of the top 20. So the World Championships is underway. What a savage round we had to start our live stream. We've got so much more for you in the next 10 days and a lot more coming up today. Up next, 12:45 Tokyo time. We've got the men's semi-final, women's final at 16:45 and then the men's final at 8 o'clock this evening. But in the meantime, we'll see you 12:45 men's semi-final coming up.